the Brahmakumaris from the Srimad Rajandra Mission, Isha Foundation, Gobind Sadan, ISKCON, Dipankar Dhyan Foundation, Bishnoi Community, Church of South India, Chishti Foundation, Dargah Ajmer Sharif, Temple of Understanding India Foundation, and the Baha'i Community of India, and also our esteemed partners from GIZ, Shrishti, Religion World, URI, and my colleagues at UNEP, especially Iyad in Nairobi, who have joined us this fine afternoon. When I was going through this list of partners and the faith-based organizations that have come together to address this major problem of environmental mitigation, it was reading like almost a who's who list of India in terms of the real leaders of top leaders of the faith-based organizations coming together to collectively decide that they need to take action and they need to galvanize and leverage their communities to take action to address this big problem that's facing the whole world. Today's meeting also becomes very, very important, and I'm sure Iyad is going to talk about it, from the fact that yesterday our fifth 5.2 United Nations Environment Assembly concluded very successfully in the evening with 14 resolutions. The environment ministers of the whole world had come together for the last 3 days to decide on what is the future course of action in the field of environment and sustainable development. Today, in fact, the UNEP at 50 celebrations are also starting in Nairobi today and tomorrow. And this celebrations also give us a very important and opportune moment to sit back and think where we have been in the last 50 years and where do we want to go in the next 50. And where do we want to go in the next 50 is where I think all the partners who are present today will be playing a very, very big role, will be playing a momentous role in shaping the future of this earth. And that's why I say that this event, and in fact, almost a month-long events that Iyad organized at a global level around faith organizations are going to be historic. And we'll be thinking of these historic days, hence when we look at what we have achieved in the last so many years. The launch of the Faith for Earth India strategy and the implementation of the Faith for Earth Counselors program has been a small but very, very significant step in addressing the global challenges we face. And it actually, the interfaith-led environment work has strived to translate faith-inspired values into action and provide local solutions to global problems. We always think globally and act locally. And I think this is a very, very good example of how at a local level action can be taken to address global problems and global commitments. I think the efforts of the faith counselors, and I must mention this certainly in this regard, has been very, very applaudable. Over the last year, we have seen them join the global platform for inspiring change, but also the individual actions they have taken. Each and every of the faith-based organization has taken such immense leaps in terms of what they can contribute to. And today, on this forum, we will get to hear from them what they've done in the past 1 year and what their plans are also in the coming years. And I'm very happy to say that each and every organization is coming up with such innovative ideas, in such innovative approaches to bring their communities into the fold of environmental mitigation. One of these initiatives is going to be launched also today, and we are really very happy and appreciative of SRMD's initiative in this regard, and we really look forward to listening to them and the program they're launching. And my urge would be that each and every faith-based organization here and globally should try to align forces with what is being launched today, and that would be a very big positive contribution coming out of India. I would, in the end, like to express my heartfelt gratitude to everyone, especially Dr. Iyad, Faith for Earth Nairobi office, Azmera, who's there, for always inspiring, and supporting us as we baby step in this direction. My thanks to my team also, especially to Shubhi and Gayatri, for really doing very revolutionary work in India in this regard, which is now becoming almost a role model for the whole world to follow. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Iyad, we'd love to definitely hear, some of your opening comments before we actually move forward.
Thank you very much, Shabi. Thank you very much, Atul. Namaste. Good morning, good afternoon. Greetings of compassion, love, and blessings. Thank you very much for inviting me to be part of this important dialogue with important and eminent leaders from India. This has been a pleasure since we started the program in India, and I'm so delighted that first of all I'm speaking after Atul. This is the first time I do so. So you have listened to all the wisdom from Atul and all the good news. Well, my intervention will be simply saying that we had a historic moment yesterday. And the historic moment is that for the first time ever, since 1972, since the establishment of UNEP, a faith leader read a faith statement at the closing session of the United Nations Environment Assembly. And for those who do not know, the United Nations Environment Assembly is the highest global authority on environmental issues that sets policies and directs the priorities on environmental issues. So allow me just to read, it is a 3-minute statement, just to read the statement and enjoy it with all of you. The statement says, UNEA 5 is a historic moment for multiple faith traditions to engage with global environmental challenges today. Since the launch of Faith for Earth at UNEA 4, this movement continues to grow exponentially. 56 faith-based organizations are accredited and participate in the Global Major Groups and Stakeholders Program. This year, a series of Faith for Earth dialogue took place with the support of 94 faith-based organizations. The series was opened by the Executive Director of UNEP and the President of UNEA, alongside 10 high-level faith leaders representing 80% of the global population. As members from unique communities of faith, religious traditions, and spiritual pathways, we affirm with scientists around the world the underlying causes of climate change, pollution, assaults on biodiversity, and ecosystem degradation that are all tangled in a spiritual crisis of values, ethics, and moral responsibility, evident human overconsumption. A fundamental change in policy and practice around the world will require a spiritual transformation for humanity that will be evident in values, attitudes, and overall disposition to strengthen action for nature. We are faith actors, living and practicing our beliefs in every part of the world. We are able to reach billions of people around the world in order to inspire their transformation. We are rooted in local communities and already provide spiritual, practical, and psychological support to displaced people, vulnerable communities, and to millions affected by calamities. We play an essential role in assisting communities to respond with resilience in the face of current and upcoming disasters. Ahead of UNEA 5.2, a coalition of faith actors met in order to reach agreement on a statement that responded to the scourge of plastic pollution in our rivers, oceans, and land. This agreement is initially signed by 45 faith representatives as more support for the statement arrives. The distinctive role of faith actors was recognized in UNEP's midterm strategy. Given our emphasis on values and enormous potential global reach, we stand committed to strengthening our collaboration with UNEP in recognition of a crucial role our constituencies have at the local, national, and international levels. Collaboration with faith actors at all levels, including the Faith for Earth Coalition, represents a fundamental opportunity to seek transformational change at the heart of the human relationship to the natural world in which we all live and a hope upon which our future depends. So this was read in front of 193 dignitaries representing 193 countries and all major groups and stakeholders. And it is really overwhelming in terms of being the first, but in terms of putting a lot of pressure now upon our shoulders as faith community to take this statement and make it a practice and a practical tool to move forward and to show the world how powerful are faith actors and faith leaders. So within our religions, within our constituencies, we need to start internalizing this statement and showing we as role models for the entire world. And I am very certain that you in India can do it. You have been doing it. I have been seeing, the statistics about your outreach to communities. So let's continue doing it. We extend our hands to you to work on making the betterment of people's lives and to live in harmony with nature. Thank you very much. God bless you all. And I go back to Shobhi for taking us back. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Riyad, for sharing such important news with all of us. I think it will be a very encouraging, for the entire community here to take this inspiration and really, build on it further. So moving on very quickly, the entire session will be co-moderated with my colleague from URI, Tanya Savlok. And Tanya, over to you for taking up.
Thank you, Subi, and thank you, Dr. Iyad and Mr. Atul, for a marvelous opening to the program. Greetings from United Religions Initiative, North India, to all the esteemed guests present with us today. I'll just take a minute to run through the meeting rules that will help us ensure the smooth running of today's program. The guests are requested to keep your mics muted when not speaking. You are encouraged to keep your cameras off when not speaking. As the time slots for this event are fixed, please, you're requested to avoid overshooting the time slots to help ensure that everyone has the chance to present their valuable contributions equally. Should anybody have any questions or comments, please feel free to use the chat box. And to know more about our esteemed speakers present on this call today, please keep a tab on the chat. Thank you. I appreciate all of you being with me in understanding the ground rules. And without further ado, I would like to invite our first speaker for today, Mr. Pinaki Das Gupta, to share his reflections on of the India Faith for Earth Counselors Program 2021. Pinaki Das Gupta is the Secretary of Shrishti, which is a cooperation circle of United Religions Initiative. He's a research scholar from Center for Rural Development and Technology at IIT Delhi and has worked on several national projects related to alternative fuels, food, chemicals, industry, health, and agricultural sectors. Welcome, Mr. Pinaki.
Yeah, thank you, Tanya, and thank you, all of you. Namaste, and good afternoon and good morning from wherever you are joining. And I'm truly honored and blessed to be present at this very important engagement. So I will take a moment to select my slides, and please let me know if it is visible. Yeah, is it visible, Tanya?
It is. We can.
It is.
Great. Thank you. And please let me know if I overshoot the time. You can mute me then. So I will be presenting a brief overview of FEC program India. Of course, Atul sir and Dr. Iyad has wonderfully summarized it, and I was thinking what should I add, but let me see what if I can take you through a little nuances of this program. What the key findings from this program was very unique. We had this program in 4 phases, right from the online survey to consultation to sharing of resources and then online training and then the action component. So it was a wonderful journey. And we found out, the program found out that the faith-based organizations have 3 priorities in terms of the SDGs, which are clean water, then SDG 13, climate action, and life on land. It's very important. And these, as Atul sir said, they represent the individual actions and the local priorities from the Indian heartland. It was also a very unique project, first of its kind, if I can say that, the FEC program, because it demonstrated the grassroots and community efforts in addressing the global environmental challenges, because that was very important. And then it set a template for climate actions for the FBOs to reach out to their devotees and to their followers through different community engagement. And it was also a science-based approach. So what we could learn from the FEC was everybody was is or is very concerned about the planetary crises, which is the pollution, the biodiversity loss, and the climate crisis. And we could follow a multi-partner approach. That what we could really have a takeaway from the FEC program. And also it was unique because it allowed then intergeneration knowledge transfer, because it is also important that every generation is equally empowered and reached out for kind of all challenges which we are facing right now in terms of environmental concerns. And FEC was also a medium for scaling up and demonstrating the united effort, because every FBO had its own unique program, its own unique manner to reach out to communities, and there we could learn from each other. Then, following the engagement strategies is basically the FBOs identified few needs, and among them what you could see is the training, the capacity building, the expert guidance, the networking, funding, and the educational resources are of the highest ranks, and these are still there's a long way to go in these. And probably what FEC program taught us was to use the SWOT and SMART principle, the strength, weakness, opportunities, and threat, and the specific, measurable, a realistic time frame model to mobilize and activate the power of faith-based communities, our kind of spiritual values, like Dr. Iyad, to as said, Dr. Iyad mentioned, to disseminate among the followers and the faith-based communities for taking or stepping up the action on climate change and related concerns. So this is all about my presentation. It was very short, but really it was kind of an honor to work with all the partners. The first, the acknowledgement goes to FECs who have participated, and then the project partners and UNEP India, UNEP Nairobi office, and my wonderful colleagues from URI North India, and URI Global offices. So thank you so much. And happy to take any questions on that later on.
Thank you, Pinaki, for such beautifully summarizing last year's program. I know we are baby stepping, and there's so much more that needs to be done. We're trying to definitely deepen but also broaden our scope of engagement. And with that, I think I'd like to now invite Kamna. Kamna has is an urban social planner who's currently working as an advisor and project coordinator with the GIZ for Project Avira, which is on reducing plastic waste in Ganga. And I'm sure Kamna will definitely touch base upon the exciting engagement we've had, but also I'd like to share with everyone that all of the phases that we did during the FEC program, one of it was the data collection part, to which everybody contributed, and that was very instrumental in bringing us something together that Kamna will be talking of. Over to you.
Thank you, Shubhi. And namaskar to everybody. Good morning and good afternoon from wherever you are joining. I'll not take so much of time and just go through my slides, knowing the consideration of time limitations that we have. Shubhi, just let me know if slides are visible, then I can start.
It is. Yes.
Thank you. So today I'll be talking about Project Aviral, which focuses on reducing plastic waste in Ganga. The project is supported by Alliance to End Plastic Waste, which is an alliance of plastic producers company, and they also want to contribute how to address the problem of plastic waste management. I am representing the organization GIZ, which is a public company owned by the government of Germany, and we work hand in hand with the government globally in the field of sustainable development. And together we join the hands with the similar objective of reducing the plastic waste in Ganga. To begin with, from the Haridwar and Rishikesh. And the more details about the project, you can go through the project video. The link is provided. I will also put it in the chat. The overall objective of the project is how to reduce the plastic waste by strengthening the integrated and improved waste management systems at a local level with the communities. And since the problem of waste management, the solutions responsibility lies with the urban local bodies. So how we work together and help the communities to solve this problem. The word Aviral, it denotes is a continuous efforts that the project is putting up and really want to escalate so that the problem of waste management, plastic waste management, particularly the marine litter problem, can be solved, and it can also ensure the continuous flow of river Ganga to begin with, but it can be replicable to all other cities, be it the river-based cities or the cities in general. When we started in these two cities, the entire idea was, to work in a multi-partnership level. And there we saw that in Haridwar, UNEP is already working with the project, and also with the engagement that they have with the interfaith-based organization. So we both also joined hands together for addressing this problem of plastic waste management. Apart from the data collection work with jointly the project undertook, the community engagement, with both the projects are taking up is also important component which we thought we should focus. And association with the organization, the platforms like UN Faith for Hurt, this definitely helped us to how to replicate these models with the support of the faith-based leader, because when they say, people definitely listen. So if we look at the Haridwar, we all know that it's a religious city. It attracts millions of devotees. There are, apart from the mega events like Kumbh, in ashrams, there are a lot of ashrams, temples where the religious feats, which we call bhandaras, are organized on a regular basis. So we thought we can focus on these particular stakeholders and how the project can help them, for effective waste management, particularly during the public events when large number of quantity of waste is generated. And that also requires the community understanding and participation, especially about the segregation. So we thought that it's a good opportunity to contribute that how the project can help to organize the green events particularly. So if we look at it nowadays, because of the conscious calls, we heard a lot about the green weddings, the green events. So these guidelines will definitely help how to organize them, what needs to be done, whose capacities needs to be built. So if we look at the at a national level, the legislation, what it says that from the solid waste management rules, which also defines that if anyone is organizing an event which is more than 100 people gathering, then they have to ensure the source segregation. Otherwise, the municipalities will not, collect the waste, because unsegregated mixed waste usually land up at the landfills and create problems for everybody. Also through Swachh Bharat Mission and other initiatives like Namami Gange and the government initiatives of banning the single-use plastic, where during the events, large amount of single-use plastic in terms of plastic cutlery, the decorative items that are created, that also have one-time usage, and then they also end up in the landfill sites. So we thought that we can focus, these guidelines can help the institutions at an institutional level and also at an individual level when they organize these events, how to ensure the source segregation, and the success of it lies actually in the source segregation. So we started with this Teen Bin Pratidin campaign, which talks about to segregate your waste in green, blue, and red. If we look at the event perspective, it's mostly the dry waste that comes under blue bins, the packaging waste, the other waste which can be recycled, recovered, and whatever the waste which is collected from the food waste like biodegradable waste. So these two types of waste can be channelized if we do the segregation. So this event guidebook is divided into three parts, which first one talks about what needs to be done before the event. Like, what is the planning that is required in terms of organization, who is organizing it, what is the manpower that is required, what type of event it is. For example, if it's a bhandara, then definitely you have more wet waste. So all these plannings will come under the pre-events. We can also inform the participants while sending the invite that it's a green event and towards the minimal waste, and what are the training and capacities that need to be developed for the manpower who is going to organize the events during this part, so that the waste management aspect can be clearly defined to them. Then the second part comes to the activities which are there during the event. So as we mentioned that depending on the type of event, the generation can be defined, and the idea is how to simplify what needs to be done, what can be avoided through the proper signage in the vernacular language with more of the pictorial use through the trained volunteers, so that they can guide the participants and what is the overall objective that you have achieve when we do this simple act of source segregation, just getting it in the right bin, how it helps, so that the waste which is there, not approximately 85 to 90% of waste can be channelized as a resource. So in the next slide, I'll say that once during the activity, if we do these things, then what is the next step, how it is contributing. So after the event, post-event, when we have the segregated waste, the composting, the wet waste, if we have seen, the waste which is unutilized, it can be directly sent for the charity organization, which is a fresh waste not used. The wet waste can be used for composting, for biodegradable, or maybe for the goshala or piggeries. And the dry waste can be channelized for making the products out of it through recycling, or to the material recovery facility where the different type of dry waste get the channelized in the circular economy principle. Then ultimately there will be some mixed waste and domestic hazardous waste which need to be sanitary landfill. So when we go through this process of organizing the event in a proper way, we can also do the audit in terms of how much quantity of waste is generated. So these guidelines which we have prepared in consultation. They are tested in the project cities of Haridwar and Rishikesh. And there we have seen that if we are not organizing as per the guidelines or following a process, then what is the quantity of waste, how much waste reduction has been achieved, how much of the waste has been recycled or composted or sent to the right places. Also, since in every religion the waste the management of the pollution free world is actually established, so we thought why not we should take the abstract from the religion itself through this particular platform, so that people can also relate it. That is something prescribed by any religion. And that's what we thought, that the platform like you, the leaders like you, can definitely help to implement these guidelines. It's an open source of document which can be used by anybody. After 9th of March, it will be available in the website and also with the UNEP website. And for wider dissemination, we are also converting it in Hindi so that it's easy to understand. So the idea is not to make it a very comprehensive document, but easy to understand document so that people can actually make use of it. And here we would like to thank, UNEP also for providing these, basically linking it with the, that attracts to the community. So when the religious leaders say something, the effect, the multiple effect is there. So we definitely appeal to all of you to adopt these, to implement them, and also to inspire others towards the green events. We are also thankful to our partners who are working on ground and whose experience has actually come up with these guidelines of Sahas and Waste Warrior. And we definitely ready to help in terms of any hand holding that is required for implementing or adopting it at different institutions. So thank you so much. And here I end my presentation. I'm also open for the questions if we have any.
Thank you so much, Kamna, for such a comprehensive presentation. Moving on, may I please now invite Honorable Sister Jayanti ji, who's the additional administrative head for the Brahma Kumaris, the director at the Brahma Kumaris activities in Europe and Middle East, and the representative to the UN in Geneva.
Namaste
Sister Jayanti ji.
Namaste and good morning and good afternoon to those who are watching. And it's my honor and pleasure to represent the Brahma Kumaris with you. And what I'd like to talk about is the things that have been going on for a little while, not specifically a project that started just last year, because of course it was Corona days and we didn't initiate new projects, but we are initiating projects this year. But what I'd like to share is that the basic concept of spiritual ideas is that of simplicity and reducing consumerism, and for many, many, vegetarian diet, of course. So these have been the foundation for everything that we do. And rather than talk about the other things, I'll take help from your technical division to put on the first slide, please. I believe you have the slides there. And so this is the things that we're going to be sharing now. Next slide, please. Next one, please. These are the 10 different ways in which we are suggesting that people can interact and bring about change in their lifestyle on a local level, each one individually, but of course, each one can inspire at least 125 others. I know that that's a fact in terms of research that's been done of how it is we can influence others. Next slide, please. Next, please. So these are the basic values that we want to emphasize: simplicity, compassion, using everything economically, continuous learning, sharing generously, especially looking at the state of the world today globally. We can see how sharing is so very, very important. Of course, it starts at the local level, but it extends to the whole wide world, and especially during these very critical times. Next slide, please. This is the India One project, solar thermal power project, and it's based at the bottom of the mountain at Abu, near our headquarters. And here what we've done is use parabolic mirrors to be able to supply the township where we have around 25,000 people. And so this supplies the energy that we need there. Next, please. This was, of course, done with the help of GIZ, but also the Indian Ministry, Renewable Energy Ministry. And when we have large gatherings, it is very large, and so the solar steam provides meals for multi-thousands. Next, please. And even earlier, of course, we had the world's largest solar steam cooking system, but part of spirituality is that you share generously. And so we've shared the technology and the systems that we use with many other ashrams in India. And so other ashrams now have gone further ahead than us in terms of numbers, but we continue to use these systems. Next, please. This is our gathering in India at Abu. And so the ministry, many partners that you see here. So it's been very, very wonderful to see how everybody really seems to come together in oneness when there's a powerful idea, then many fingers, many hands then support. Next, please. It was here in about 25 acres, and we trained local people. So it was also providing job employment. And so they were the people who manufactured the parabolic mirrors and so on. And so it served the community in many different ways. Next, please. The other project that is replicable anywhere is that of aligning awareness with action with sustainable yogic agriculture, not just organic agriculture, but yogic agriculture. And so meditation in the fields at all phases of pre-plantation, plantation, harvesting, and so on and so forth. And the local sisters of the ashram also join in with the farmers and their families. Next, please. It's very interesting because it started with one farmer in Maharashtra who felt that it was so important to use spiritual methods to help plantation. And other farmers saw the results, all his neighbors, and so they started to do the same. And of course, the idea then spread within our own Brahma Kumaris community. So now many different areas in Bharat, India, have been following all of this. And not only is there good nutritional value, which of course one can understand, but of course lower costs, increased farmers' well-being, resilience, community, but also there's been a lot of research done through various universities to quantify what the results are. And yes, definitely the nutritional value increases, and the others I think are difficult to judge with metrics, but one can understand, especially from a spiritual level, all the other things that have been mentioned. Thank you. Next, please. We've had tree plantation activities going on pre-COVID, and now again beginning once more. But it's a lot of fun, but of course also very good for ourselves and our future. But it's intergenerational, as you can see, and many young people enjoy that act of actually planting and sustaining and seeing something develop that's come from not just nature, but also their contribution with the earth. Next, please. In terms of raising awareness and consciousness, and also, of course, tree plantation, here you have some of the metrics that have been described. Just simply on the India One solar plant, there's a huge amount of space being used by the mirrors, but also, of course, we planted the space in between with thousands of trees, and especially fruit trees there. You can see the campaigns that the education wing has been doing, and the figures are there for you to see. We also have an agriculture and rural development wing, and that has also been planting multi thousands of trees every year. Next, please. From the spiritual perspective, of course, when you're acting locally, it's not just local, but with meditation, it really becomes something that we share with the world. Our vision expands to the whole world family, so that truly we can tackle the crises that we're facing together with cooperation and collaboration. Next, please. Thank you.
This is the last.
Thanks very much. Okay, I'll finish here. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Honorable Sister
Thank you
Jayanti,
so
for
much.
a wonderful presentation and highlighting the importance of spirituality in our daily lives that drives environmental action. And what stood out to me from your presentation was how the youth, the young people, they feel so closely connected to the environment. And moving from that, I would now like to invite Mr. Vipul Shah, Honorable Vipul Shah ji, the Chief Operating Officer of Petrochemicals at Reliance Industries Limited, and is part of the Environmental Core Committee at Srimad Rajandra Mission, Dharampur. And also Honorable Atmaprit Vidhiji, who is a devotee of Puja Gurudev Sri Rakesh Bhaiji and a senior renunciate of Srimad Rajandra Mission, Dharampur. She has been instrumental in developing the curriculum for the programs of Srimad Rajandra Divine Touch, which is a global chain of value education classes. Mr. Vipulji and Vidhiji will be jointly presenting on Nurturing Youth for Tomorrow, launch of the Faith for Earth Empathy Learning Program. I welcome both of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Supriya. Just a minor correction. Me too is a devotee of Gurudev Shri as well. Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, all the esteemed dignitaries, my revered fellow speakers, youngsters, and friends. At the outset, let me thank Iyad, Atulji, and UNEP team for inviting us to this August gathering and share some of our thoughts. Change is the only constant in our lives. Our Mother Earth has been undergoing transformation for millions of years. However, we humans have caused the greatest transformations by altering the world that we live in ways that cannot be easily reversed. Climate change plus other environmental factors now contribute to the immense changes that are potentially altering the one Earth that we have, be it the rising sea levels or depleting ice coverage on the poles. Today, we are experiencing extreme events like increased storms, raging wildfires, and intense heat waves. Situation is so dire that it is time for all of us to be activists now. Thankfully, like the proverbial adage, every cloud has a silver lining, and I still see a ray of hope. Unlike the erstwhile generations, youth today are no longer armchair activists. I know they're willing to engage and act and to develop a range of mitigation and adaptation measures, actions that could effectively deal with changes and probably restore global system as originally ordained by the nature. Recently, we have seen and heard many such young and passionate activists across the regions who are trying to change the world. Just have a look at some of the indicative data points on the screen today. This is, how youth today is literally forcing businesses to rethink the entire consumption-based model of our economic systems. In my opinion, it is about time This active and vigorous advocates are pointed in the right direction. Before we introduce an upcoming environmental initiatives that seeks to transform the value systems of next generations, let me share a little bit about the environmental work at the Srimad Rajandra Love and Care SRLC, the social service wing of the mission, envisioned and inspired by Pujya Gurudev Shri. Can we please play the SRLC video, please? Thank you.
Paraspara Upagraha Jivanam. All life is bound together by mutual support and interdependence. This
Can everyone
cornerstone
see?
of Jain philosophy
I think we are
was
not
laid
able to see the.
I'm not able to see it.
Yeah. Can you share?
2005. Paraspara Upagraha Jivanam.
Okay, now.
All life is bound together by mutual support and interdependence. This cornerstone of Jain philosophy was laid down by Lord Mahavir over 2,500 years ago. Expounding on these teachings is the spiritual luminary Srimad Rajandra Ji, who was also the spiritual guide to Mahatma Gandhi, and an ardent devotee of Srimad Rajandra Ji is the living master Pujya Gurudev Sri Rakesh Ji, a spiritual visionary and modern-day mystic. He is making Jain teachings relevant in the current times and putting into action a culture of compassion across the globe through Srimad Rajandra Love and Care, an initiative of Srimad Rajandra Mission Therapy. The philosophy of extending compassion to the entire ecosystem is best witnessed at Srimad Rajandra Ashram Therapy, the international headquarters of the mission. The land of the ashram was severely degraded and barren due to deforestation and overgrazing. The area was moving towards desertification with depleted or entirely dry groundwater reserves and a near disappearance of the biodiversity of the region. While the ashram was being constructed, various initiatives were undertaken to restore, recuperate and replenish the land. The goal of the afforestation program is to create a permanent green lung with over 100,000 trees and shrubs to generate ecological, biodiversity and climatic advantages. The afforestation has led to an increase in the non-human visitors at the ashram. Many of these birds, butterflies and other species are strong indicators of the healing ecosystem. Under the seed program, villagers are trained in organic farming methods which improve self-efficacy and significantly reduce the carbon footprint for the food and other needs of the community. Solar panels have been installed at various locations to promote renewable energy to meet the energy needs of the spiritual township. Soil biotechnology is a special technology that treats sewage water. This water is then used for plants and trees being grown across the 223 acres of the township. Rainwater is being harvested using various methods such as bioswales and trenches. Even a new check dam has been constructed to harvest rainwater and recharge the groundwater levels for the community. To minimize waste, sandalwood and flowers from local temples is recycled to make incense sticks. Under the guidance of Pujya Gurudev Shri, this culture of compassion has spread across the globe, touching thousands of lives and inspiring numerous charitable initiatives. And by the grace of Pujya Gurudev Shri, taking care of nature has become the nature for thousands of volunteers across the world.
Thank you. I would like to now invite Atmatvit Vidiji to introduce the environmental education program developed to instill sustainable values in the generations to come. Vidiji.
Thank you, Vipul Bhai, and pranam to all the revered saints and seniors present here. Also, thank you, Yad, because over the past week, I have been part of a number of wonderfully planned sessions put together by you and your fantastic team, everyone, Azmaira and everyone. And yes, I sincerely thank Shri Atul Bagai ji, his team, Subhi and everyone there for having me here today. Okay. There is no doubt, as Vipul Bhai said, that sustainability is certainly going to be an important mega trend for businesses to come. But I'm going to change the dialogue a little bit. The concern is that while we must move towards making sustainability financially profitable, the dialogue now also needs to transcend profit and attach itself to the realm of values and emotions. Decision making on the basis of profit alone falls prey to short-termism and fails to consider the wider repercussions of actions. On the other hand, permitting values like sensitivity and empathy towards the environment to govern our decision-making processes will lead to a lasting impact. For this, it is imperative to not just work on behavioral levels, but also touch and transform belief systems. This will lead to permanent and long-term, long-lasting change, a true paradigm shift. As my revered Guru, Pujya Gurudev Shri says, that elevation is the only solution. While we work on behavioral shifts in the short term, which is also very important, it is also of utmost importance to invest in belief changes for the long term and elevate our entire worldview for the environment. This will create a new generation of environmental leaders led by sensitivity and compassion, for whom sustainable living is not a choice or a trend or a mega trend, but a natural, non-negotiable way of life. Recently, COVID-19 has given the world some understanding of what a global crisis can truly be. And reports now show a considerable and positive rise in interest on environmental issues. Here, let me show you a case in point, as you can see, for Indian students. So over the years, despite environmental education being mandatory in many places across India, due to maybe a lack of quality, it has not had the desired impact. Often education revolves primarily around information, Supreme Court rulings in India, even types of grass species in India, facts and figures that rarely touch hearts and capture the imagination. The Faith for Earth Empathy Leadership Program is designed to make environmental education for children an emotional and experiential affair. The goal is to create a global network of empathetic leaders who not only transform their individual lifestyles, but also create a ripple effect in society, empowering them to change for the better. A lifestyle change that goes beyond trends and is rooted in values. Srimad Rajandra Mission that has designed and successfully implemented several value education programs that run in our centers across the world and also in collaboration with numerous schools across the world. With the wonderful inspiration and support from Dr. Riyad and Shri Atul Bagai and his team, we're now getting ready to launch a program specially designed to make children and youth feel and value our One Earth at a deeper level. For this, without saying anything more, let us see a quick video again of what we can expect as we plan for a launch for the field program. Please. This is just a short video.
In a day, 34 gigabytes of information is processed by our head. How much of that sinks in deeper inside our heart? Today, with so much information, we can behold our planet just the way it is. All these external problems have internal roots. And who can really feel for them? We can. With the grace of the spiritual luminary, Pujya Gurudev Shri Rakesh, through the Faith for Earth Empathy Leadership Feel Program, by Srimad Rajandra Mission Dharampur in collaboration with the Faith for Earth initiative of the United Nations Environment Programme. It is a specialized certificate program for children and the youth, comprising 6 modules, each engineered to tackle a specific environmental challenge, where learning is not just a textbook exercise, but a personal expedition, a sensitizing experience, a heartfelt emotion that goes beyond the classroom and pervades every part of life. By adding life to learnings, to empathize with the environment, to envision transformation, to execute real-life solutions, to empower one and all. Join this global network of young leaders.
Vidhi, you are on mute.
Thank you for that. So that was just a little bit about the field program, and we're eager now to partner with organizations across the globe. The curriculum is launching soon, and we're looking forward to work more deeply with UNEP to take this everywhere. Thank you again for your time and attention.
Thank you so much, Vidhi and Vipul for this wonderful inspiration. Now I'd quickly like to invite Honorable Gauranga Das ji. There's been a slight, emergency that we had to, run into. Honorable Gauranga Das ji is a member of the ISKCON Governing Body Commission and the director of ISKCON's Govardhan Eco Village, well known for its innovative model of ecotourism as a catalyst for rural development. He has strategized and led execution for GV's synergetic solutions for SDGs that center around climate change. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Iyad and Atulji and your team for inviting us for this very important session. I'll begin by sharing Govardhan Eco Village's implementation of the 17 SDGs as a model for whole of ISKCON to follow. Alternative, sustainable model of the world, simple living, high thinking, harmony with the self, divine, nature and humanity, powerful optimized action models, sustainability technological interventions. I hope you're able to see the screen.
We can.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, okay. So, as far as the first SDG is concerned of no poverty, we have focused on farmer livelihood creation, especially in training them in organic farming. And we have trained more than 3,000 farmers in the last 1.5 years. We have what is known as a Wadi program, which is multi-cropping with agriculture, floriculture, horticulture all into one. So that even in a 1 acre plot, the farmers are able to take care of their income in case there is some kind of crop failure. So more than 2,000 farmers we have actually trained. And we have been really inspired by the Faith Counselor program, which has given us an impetus to share with all of them the importance of organic farming in the local language. Also, along with that, for supplemental income, we are encouraging them to keep livestock. So as far as no poverty is concerned, we have focused on the farmer development at the eco village. Second is zero hunger, especially during the last couple of years post COVID. There have been people who were directly impacted during COVID as a result of the sudden lockdown. Also, there are others who were affected because their livelihoods were taken away. And because of COVID, they could not perform the jobs they were doing before. And so to mitigate the hunger, we have distributed almost 1.1 lakh free meals during COVID. And after that, 2+ lakhs we are distributing annually. And we hope to take this to almost 1 million. And we are very convinced that we need to connect this hunger-free Palghar initiative to both education and livelihoods creation within the 7 talukas in Palghar district. The third aspect of the SDGs is good health and well-being. So we have primary healthcare centers, mobile health camps, and we have de-addiction camps. So Palghar, as you know, is almost having 75% tribal population. Palghar is also having more than 65% below the poverty line. The average income of Palghar for a population of 3 million is only 27,000 rupees per annum. And therefore, we have conducted more than 2,500 health camps, more than 100,000 treatments and 1,800 cancer surgeries. One of the big challenges is to convince the local people to take to this health initiative seriously and also encourage them in prevention. This has been extremely successful and overall impact we are seeing is very positive. With respect to quality education, we have actually an entire education program centered around reaching out to the schools, where in more than 3,000 schools having 7.5 lakh or 750,000 students and 19,000 principals and teachers, we have reached out by performing science camps, mathematics camps, capacity building, and more than 9,000 students have benefited and 1,000 sessions conducted and more than 50 schools have been impacted. And now we are going to be working with Piramal Foundation and Kaival Education Foundation to do the capacity building for all the principals in the schools. We are also helping create social impact leadership by training students and also in culture and ethics by having a PhD program and masters through Bhaktivedanta Research Center with library and museum. Also traditional educational values we are imparting amongst the Gurukul, which is run at the eco village itself. With respect to gender equality, we have excellent women empowerment program through agriculture skills and livelihood training. We have more than 300 self-help groups and 3,000 women have been empowered and more than 12,000 family members have been impacted. One of the very important elements which we have just created is a 70,000 square feet of a Govardhan Kaushal Vikas Kendra, the third largest skill development center in whole of India and the largest skill development center in Maharashtra. Through this, we hope to empower more and more women in various trades, including nursing and electric vehicle and motorized training. We have clean water and sanitation for safe drinking water access, rainwater harvesting and irrigation facilities. We have connected with various CSR partners and enabled more than 850 lift irrigation beneficiaries and more than 5,500 drinking water beneficiaries. And we have created customized irrigation beneficiaries. One of the novel ways in which we have actually created impact is by allowing sharing of the water resources by creating cooperation and systems by which the water resources can be shared. For affordable and clean energy, we have 220 kilowatt solar power at Govardhan Eco Village, which is the capacity building impact center within the hub and spoke model, and 3,600 kilogram of cow dung gives 30 cubic meter of biogas at GEV, and we are inspiring all the villagers around to also bring in alternate energy within their gamut. Decent work and economic growth as part of micro enterprises and Bhaktivedanta Kaushal Vikas Kendra. We have more than 50 livelihood initiatives and 250 tribals benefited and 50% increase in individual income. And as I said that before we began this skill development center, we had more than 70 students trained in the last year with 80% placement record. And we have areas of skilling including industry areas, food, agriculture, technology, and electric vehicle. And now we are also adding adult literacy, financial literacy, and digital literacy. With respect to 9th SDG, industry innovation and infrastructure, we have green buildings where we have created 400,000 compressed stabilized earth blocks on site, which is a Griha 5-star and Indian Green Building Council Platinum rating complex with almost 1.5 crore liters of rainwater harvested and 4 crore of liters recycled, with what you see on the bottom right as the soil biotechnology plant, a completely green technology which actually transforms all the black and grey water into fish fit water. We are very proud that we are extending this green building concept to more than 25 temples of ISKCON all over India, and ISKCON has tied up an MOU with Indian Green Building Council that within the next 1 year we will have 25 ISKCON temples completely green certified by IGBC, and they will be known as Reverend certification under IGBC. Govardhan Eco Village was awarded by UNTO Ecotourism as a catalyst for rural development, And this ecotourism acts as a bridge between urban and rural population, bringing the urban to the rural, inspires the rural, helps them gain value, and also makes the rural people feel that yes, there is no need to migrate to the urban population because the urban are helping us gain economy and freedom from various kinds of miseries right here. As far as sustainable cities and communities, we have actually created a Vrindavan forest, mud house for villagers, and organic composting, and we have replicated a holy place with 12 forests and 7 temples, and created a model for spiritual tourism across 748 districts in India. Just like it was mentioned that how people are going to holy places and the holy place is not able to bear the burden of so many people. So the alternative model is in different districts, a replica of the holy place can be created where perfect respect and synergy is made for processing all the waste. Responsible consumption and production, Govardhan Yoga trains 200 plus teachers because yoga is the medium by which we teach discipline, and discipline is a fusion of intention with action. And therefore, we are also creating Haribol milk and grains products, a grocery chain by which we are creating a circular economy connecting the rural to the urban. Climate action, we are doing various kinds of conferences, flood relief programs, and cultural awareness. And this has increased since we connected with UNEP's Faith for Earth and Earth Counselor program, Faith Counselor program. With respect to life below water, we have an excellent plastic pyrolysis plant where 150 kg of plastic is treated every day. It results in 30 liters of refuse derived fuel, and currently we have pitched for a CSR for doing complete recycling of plastic waste in 50 villages around the Govardhan Eco Village. Also, our biopesticides and biofertilizers and vermicompost, they are processed in-house, and we are teaching all the farmers about this, and more than 10,000 farmers have been benefited. With life on land, more than 52 indigenous species of rice and millets are being conserved. We are being consulted by Honorable Vandana Shivaji and also many others, and we are working closely with Bharat Agro Industries Federation BIF, and we have actually created 20,000 plus trees and 165 plus species with the help of Bombay Natural History Society. They have guided us to create a complete biodiversity park and complete bird sanctuary within the eco village. And then as peace, justice, and strong institutions, we believe that the entire community, including the cows and the other animals and the human beings and insects and flora and fauna, live together with equity for all beings. And in this way, we are then able to have partnerships for these goals with various partners across the whole world. I'm indeed grateful to Dr. Iyad and his team for being extremely generous with their excellent coordination, for training us in how to do all these things in the near future. We hope to do much more with your guidance, sir, and thank you very much for guiding us in this direction. Pranams.
Thank you so very much. Now I'd quickly like to invite Honorable Yuri Genji. He is a full-time volunteer at the Isha Foundation, heading the social outreach activities in the areas of environment and education. He was also the former global vice president at Unilever, where he's, of course, led the world's largest safe drinking water intervention. Over to you, Genji.
Namaskaram, everyone. It's wonderful to be here with all of you. I must say that talking about Faith for Earth is a very humbling proposition, because on the one hand, I'm standing in for the direct work of Sadhguru, and on the other hand, I'm talking about the efforts of millions of volunteers. For many, many decades now, Sadhguru has worked tirelessly to raise human consciousness. But as he says, you can bring spirituality into the lives of people only if they're first enough to eat and if there is some basic sense to their life format. It is with that context that we've launched a whole raft of initiatives which seek to re-engineer the adverse environmental and social situations around us, so that human beings, and indeed all life forms, can find a conducive atmosphere to blossom. Now, I could talk at length about what we've done, but I thought that in terms of both action and actionability, I would talk to you today about what we are in the midst of doing just now. We've just launched a global movement to save soil. Why save soil? Well, we, along with 87% of all life forms, come from and depend on what is just 3 feet of soil spread thinly across the earth. Unfortunately, we have brought this limited quantity of life-giving material to the very verge of extinction. And let me explain that. Soil degradation is a worldwide phenomenon. 62% of Indian soil is turning into sand, into desert. Africa will lose 2/3 of its arable lands by 2030. The US has already lost 50% of its soil. Europe has 75% of its soil with insufficient organic content. And the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification has not surprisingly said that at this rate, 90% of all soil in the world will be degraded by the year 2050. Living in a world of hunger is not a pleasing prospect. But there is more to the soil problem than just hunger. We have all just talked about climate change, for example, in this discussion, but we seldom realize that 40% of that is because of degrading soil. We talk about water shortages, but we really don't focus on the root cause that it's happening because soil is losing the capacity to hold water because of declining organic content. We've talked about biodiversity, but well, 87% of all living forms are in the 3 feet of soil. 27,000 species are going extinct every year as soil degrades. And of course, we have linked to that the unfortunate socio-economic situation that the vast majority of people involved in rural agriculture remain poor and impoverished. So whichever way you see it, whether it's hunger, whether it's food, whether it's climate change, whether it's water, whether it's the loss of biodiversity, whether it's the loss of nutrition, whether it's the deprivation of rural livelihoods, soil is the meta problem. Okay, so we have a problem. What are we going to do about it? And that brings us to the global movement to save soil. We seek to educate and empower citizens across all countries of the world. And we are working with governments to initiate policy-driven actions to revitalize soil. And to make this happen, we're in the process of reaching out to 3.5 billion people on the back of the entire community of people that we have reached to. And we're simultaneously working with the governments of all 193 countries. And as this is happening, to bring the focus of the world to the direct need to save soil, Sadhguru will ride as a lone motorcyclist across 30,000 kilometers, spanning 27 countries, and for 100 days, starting March the 21st, just now, in the UK, and all the way through to India. It's amazing the kind of ecstatic response we're getting to this singular focus on what is one of the biggest meta problems that we have on the environment from anyone who's ever heard of this. And that brings me, in a sense, to the final point that I want to make. That the movement to save soil is not an Isha movement. It's a movement that's owned by anyone who's made of soil. It's a movement that's driven by anyone who's ever walked on soil. And it's a movement that belongs to anyone who wishes to leave behind a world worthy of living in for their children. This is your movement. Thank you. Namaskaram.
Thank you, Yuri, for grounding us back to where we belong, our precious soil. With that, I would now like to invite Maddie Pat Fisher Ji, who is an author and a devout resident of the Gobind Sadan, an interfaith community in India, founded by Baba Virsa Singh Ji. Among many of her books is the inspirational book Heart of Gold, The Light Within Life and Living Religions, an encyclopedia of the world's faith. She will be highlighting faith in action, sharing with us the ecosystem restoration efforts carried by the Govind Sadan. I now invite you, Honorable Mary Paji.
Thank you. May we have the slides, please?
Yes, just give me a moment, please. Is it good?
Yes, okay. Thank you. Govind Sadan is a living interfaith program encompassing all religions, grounded in farming, cooperating with nature, and serving the people. At the center of its logo is the founder, Baba Virsa Singh, plowing the land himself. To support his mission, Babaji found barren wastelands and turned them into thriving farms. This is what Govind Sadan's central campus on the southern border of Delhi looked like when Baba Virsa Singh came there in 1968. Babaji and his followers worked very hard to develop that rocky wasteland into a green paradise. This is Babaji plowing. Govind Sadan has been developed by the grace of God. Prayers go on 24 hours a day. Thousands of trees have been planted by the devotees in that former wasteland. The trees that have been planted were watered at first, but have developed their own natural self-sustaining ecosystem, even amidst the rocks. Everything has turned green. This afforested area is now called Govind Sadan Biodiversity Park. Such lush vegetation has arisen that over 80 species of birds have now appeared there. And over 70 varieties of trees now grow there. This is a pilkan tree, which provides cooling shade, oxygen, and small berries for the birds. Many of Govind Sadan's holy places are in green settings, enhancing their spiritual impact. This is one of the temples where worship at a sacred fire, Havan, is carried on by devotees 24 hours a day. A beautiful garden has been created where Jesus appeared in vision to Baba Virsa Singh. People of all religions go there for blessings and peace. All of Govind Sadan's gardens are organic. Many varieties of fruit are grown, including this corunda tree, whose berries are very rich in vitamin C. The community's cows and buffaloes eat fresh fodder grown on the land 12 months a year. Prayers are offered before each crop's planting and harvesting. Manure from the dairy is the main fertilizer used in the fields and gardens. It is combined with leaves and berries from Govind Sadan's hundreds of neem trees and other organic materials in projects such as this liquid composting pit. Liquefied compost goes to the fields, delivering organic nutrients as well as water to the crops. After years of organic farming, they are disease and insect-free without use of any chemicals. The vegetables are thus especially tasty. Govind Sadan is home to many medicinal plants, such as this glory vine. It is being harvested for the devotees to build their immunity. Numerous medicinal plants grow naturally in Govind Sadan. Next slide, please. Thank you. This Patrichata plant is excellent for preventing stones from forming in the body. Students value of plants growing in Govind Sadan Biodiversity Park. The community does water harvesting throughout its campus to save every drop of water. Many storage tanks have been built to capture and reuse rainwater. Other water harvesting systems include projects in which surface runoff water is delivered deep underground through old tube wells to replenish the water table. 50 years ago, this seasonal pond was dug deeper and its banks reinforced. To today, it helps to preserve rainwater for the underground river. Cows and buffaloes in Gobind Sand's dairy provide delicious milk for the free langar. Free meals are offered to all who come, with organic vegetables from the fields, milk from the dairy, and wheat, rice, and gur from other farms that Gobind Sand developed. Nothing is wasted. Devotees bring their used clothes to Gobind Sand for reuse by the poor. Used materials that are beyond reuse are continually collected and sold for recycling. Solar installations have been built throughout the campus to gather clean energy from the sun. Thus, with gratitude to the Creator, Gobind Sand is trying to preserve the natural environment and serve the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Madhupat Fisherji. We will now be delving into the second section of the program that aims at highlighting some exceptional examples of how Faith for Earth counselors have pioneered faith in action at the community level. And with that, I now invite Honorable Puja Swami Deepankarji, who is the founder of the Deepankar Dhyan Foundation, an organization for meditation and yoga. Swamiji is actively involved with issues such as ones related to the environment, girl child, youth, and senior citizens, and has been fighting against the social menace of noise pollution, especially from religious institutions. I now invite you, Swamiji. Just a heads up to the guests, Swamiji will share his presentation in Hindi. The ones who are not able to understand Hindi or are not comfortable, please refer to the chat box for the translation. Thank you.
नमस्कार, प्रणाम, नमस्कार एवरीवन। तान्या, आप हमें सुन पा रहे हैं?
जी जी
जी
नमस्कार। नमस्कार स्वामी जी।
नमस्कार, प्रणाम आदरणीय। ये पूरा अभियान, ये पूरा कैंपेन मुझे लगता है कि मेरे लिए एक सकारात्मक अनुभव रहा, और इस अनुभव में डॉक्टर याद, अतुल भाई और शुभी, तान्या, आप सब लोगों का भी आभार। मतलब इतना शायद मुझे लगता है किसी चीज को सकारात्मक बना देना अपने होने मात्र से ये बहुत बड़ी बात हो जाती है। मैं अपनी कैंपेनिंग को लेकर के कुछ बातें आपसे शेयर करूंगा। मुझे लगता है कि आस्था से प्रतीत होता है सामूहिक जुड़ाव, और जब वही जुड़ाव एक दूसरे के साथ खड़ा हो जाता है तो मुझे लगता है वो सफलता में परिणत हो जाता है, सफलता में परिवर्तित हो जाता है, सफलता में बदल जाता है। इसी सफलता को और गतिशील बनाने के लिए एक कैंपेन अब से 4 साल 5 साल पहले लॉन्च किया गया। उस कैंपेन का नाम था से नो टू नॉइस। उसको प्रारंभ किया गया, उसको यूपी पुलिस के साथ, दिल्ली पुलिस के साथ और भारत में, ऑल ओवर इंडिया में उसको चलाया गया। हर सिग्नल पर खड़े होकर, तकरीबन मुझे लगता है कि शायद सैकड़ों सिग्नल होंगे जिन पर खड़े होकर एक रेड रोज दिया गया, गुलाब दिया गया, बताया गया कि अगर आप अपने से बाजू वाले को बचाना चाहते हैं तो प्लीज हॉर्न मत दीजिए, ये वो अप्रत्यक्ष शत्रु है जो मार भी देता है और पता भी नहीं लगता। बहुत सारे लोग सुनने की क्षमता खो चुके हैं, बहुत सारे लोग अपने बारे में ठीक से जानते भी नहीं, और जितने विकल्प हैं वो उनको और भी अपने बारे में जानने से अनभिज्ञ बना देते हैं। केंद्रीय प्रदूषण नियंत्रण बोर्ड के द्वारा निर्धारित मानकों के अनुसार 50 से 55 डेसिबल के बीच होना चाहिए ध्वनि और शोर इत्यादि। मगर आईटीओ पर जब एक प्रोग्राम किया गया तो यकीन मानिएगा कि 106 डिग्री 106 डेसिबल पाया गया, जो मनुष्य के लिए, एक आम इंसान के लिए बहुत खतरनाक है। मगर मुझे लगता है कि हम लोग अगर जो प्रयास करें और हाथ में गुलाब का फूल लेकर किसी सिग्नल पर खड़े होकर कार वाले को बोले कि प्लीज आगे वाले को बचा लीजिए हॉर्न देने से, तो मुझे लगता है कि लोग मान जाते हैं। और आस्था में, आध्यात्म में कम से कम इतना ताकत तो है, प्यार से किसी को कहा जाए लोग मान जाते हैं। बहरहाल वर्तमान भी इस विषय को लेकर के हम लोगों की जागरूकता अभियान आज भी जारी है। मैं उम्मीद करता हूं कि बहुत जल्दी हम बहुत से जिलों को, बहुत से डिस्ट्रिक्ट को ध्वनि प्रदूषण से मुक्त कर देंगे। इसी अभियान के माध्यम से हमने सीखा, इसी अभियान के माध्यम से हमने सीखा इसी अभियान के माध्यम से हमने सीखा कि जब बेहतर कल के लिए हम कोई लक्ष्य निर्धारित कर लेते हैं तो मुझे लगता है कि ताकत और दिन दुगनी और चौगुनी हो जाती है। अधिक हाथों का अर्थ ये नहीं होता कि हम लोग एक हैं। अधिक हाथों का अर्थ 1 और 1 2 नहीं, 1 और 1 11 होता है। ये ताकत का तब एहसास अधिक हुआ जब UNEP और URI के साथ जुड़कर फेथ फॉर अर्थ काउंसलर के लिए हम लोगों ने कार्य किया, और निसंदेह वो कार्य आज मुझे लगता है कि आप लोग भी देख पा रहे हैं और सफल भी हो रहा है। और उसकी सफलता का आलम यह है कि दिन में तकरीबन नहीं तो 20 से 30 लोग रोज इसमें अपने आप को अपडेट करते हैं, दुनिया तक अपनी बात पहुंचाते हैं। सोशल मीडिया के माध्यम से एक्शन होता है, और जो गांव होते हैं, छोटे छोटे क्लस्टर होते हैं, उनमें एक कमेटी बना दी जाती है 5-5 लोगों की। वो 5 लोगों की कमेटी 5 गांव को देखती है। इस तरीके से तकरीबन 50 विलेज हैं, टोटल 50 विलेज हैं, उनमें हम लोग कार्य करते हैं 5-5 लोगों की कमेटी बना करके। और मुझे लगता है कि जिस तरह से वो कमेटी कार्य करती है, ना कि मात्र पेड़ लगाने का, वृक्ष लगाने का, धरती को सजाने का, उसका मेन मोटो होता है वृक्षों को बचाने का, लोगों को बताने का। क्योंकि हम लोगों में आध्यात्म को लेकर एक अजीब सी, एक ये कहें कि अद्भुत सी, या ये कहें कि प्रिय सी रुचि रहती है। वो रुचि और प्रिय हो जाती है जब हम किसी एक वृक्ष या ट्री को किसी का भाई, किसी का मित्र, किसी का बेटा बना देते हैं। अगर जो हम लोग मत्स्य पुराण एक ग्रंथ है हिंदू में, हम लोगों की संस्कृति में, उसमें लिखा है कि 10 कूपा समावापी, 10 वापी समोहद, 10 समो पुत्र, 10 पुत्रो दुम्रह। हम अगर जो एक वृक्ष लगाते हैं तो वो 10 पुत्रों के समान होता है। और एक मेरे साथ बड़ी रोचक घटना तब घटी जब एक परिवार को एक वृक्ष दिया और उन्होंने कहा कि हम इसको अपने पुत्र की तरह पालेंगे। शायद पुत्र हमें आज है, कल छोड़कर चला जाए, मगर ये वृक्ष हमें हमेशा छाव देगा। तो जब और चीजें महत्वपूर्ण हो जाती हैं, आगे बढ़ जाती हैं, तो मुझे लगता है सृजनात्मक होने लगती हैं। और इसमें आप लोगों का सहयोग होना, खासकर सोशल मीडिया के माध्यम से डॉक्टर इयाद का, तो ये अपने आप में अद्भुत हो जाता है, चीजों को आगे बढ़ा देता है। इसी को लेते हुए हम लोगों ने पुलिस स्टेशन को चुना। उत्तर प्रदेश पुलिस के साथ हम लोगों ने काम किया। शायद मुझे लगता है कि 98 पुलिस स्टेशन हम लोगों ने कवर किए और 500 से ज्यादा ट्रीज लगाए उसमें। और मुझे लगता है जब कोविड काल चल रहा था, कोविड काल में एक बड़ी अजीब सी सिचुएशन थी। हमें लगता है कि हम लोग पानी तो पहले ही खरीद कर पीते थे, अब हमें हवा भी खरीदना पड़े तो ये हम लोगों के लिए बहुत सोचने जैसा होगा। और फ्रंट लाइन पर काम करने वाले यही पुलिस के लोग थे, पुलिस के जवान थे। तो हमने प्रयास किया कि पहले हम लोग पुलिस स्टेशन से शुरू करेंगे, पुलिस स्टेशन के बाद फिर हम लोग हॉस्पिटल्स में जाएंगे। फिर हमने उसके बाद हॉस्पिटल्स में जाना शुरू किया, और पुलिस स्टेशन, हॉस्पिटल्स, और उसके बाद हम लोगों ने सोशल मीडिया को भी इसमें इन्वॉल्व किया। और सोशल मीडिया तब जाकर सकारात्मक हुआ। एक हम लोगों ने उपाधि इजाद किया कि जो ज्यादा वृक्ष लगाएगा उसको एक टी शर्ट देकर हम लोग वृक्ष सेवक बनाएंगे। वो वृक्ष सेवक बनते चले गए, बहुत सारे ट्रीज लगते चले गए। आज बहुत सारे ट्रीज किसी के भाई, किसी के बेटे, किसी के मित्र भी हैं। और एक हम लोगों ने प्रयास किया था सोशल मीडिया के माध्यम से सेल्फी विद ट्री। तो बहुत सारे लोगों ने, जिन्होंने वृक्ष लगाया, जो इस अभियान से जुड़े, मुझे लगता है कि उत्तर भारत के बहुत सारे युवा आज भी इस अभियान से जुड़कर अपने होने को परिदर्शित कर रहे हैं। और मैं चाहूंगा कि फ्यूचर में हम लोग और सकारात्मक कुछ कर सकते हैं। और मुझे लगता है कि एवरीथिंग इज पॉसिबल, कुछ भी चाहे संभव है। और वो भी तब जब इतने सकारात्मक संगठन मिलकर के साथ में काम करें तो कुछ भी करना संभव होगा, बदला जा सकता है। मात्र हम लोगों को एक कदम आगे बढ़ाना होगा। मैं कम शब्दों में अपनी बातों को कहूंगा, मात्र एक शब्द बोलता जाऊंगा कि धरती करा रही है, जलाशय सूख रहे हैं। हम लोगों को आगे बढ़कर धरती को बचाना चाहिए। और जिस तरह से हम लोग संगठनात्मक रूप से चल रहे हैं, इस बीच हमारा जैसे रिलीजन वर्ल्ड ने बहुत हेल्प किया। जिस तरह से हम लोग चल रहे हैं, मैं उम्मीद करता हूं कि चीजें बदलेंगी भी, सारगर्भित भी होंगी। जब भारत ही मात्र एक देश ऐसा है जो कहता है वसुदेव कुटुंबकम, मतलब पूरी दुनिया हमारे लिए एक परिवार है, तो क्यों ना पूरी दुनिया को चलकर बदला जाए। थैंक यू, थैंक्स फॉर ऑल ऑफ यू। नमस्कार। तान्या।
Thank you,
Thank you
Swami.
very much, Swami Dipankarji. It's certainly very inspiring to learn so much that's happening on the ground. And adding to some of that work, I'd like to now invite Mamta ji. She is working with the Bishnoi community on issues of forest degradation, water conservation, and wildlife protection.
Thank you, Shobhi. Niman Pranam to all the speakers. I just want to share the PPT so we can start with that. So everyone is, its PPT is visible, Tanya?
Yes.
Hello?
It's visible.
Okay.
Yes, it's visible.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So
Yes,
Bishnoi
madam.
community has been working towards environment protection and preservation since its inception. It's around 550 years right now. So we are working this thing. So last year we submitted a project which was titled Sri Guru Jambeshwar Ecological Restoration. So the purpose of the project is to enhance skill, knowledge, and coordination among the nature warriors. So the part of project was launched at the in June last year by Minister of Forest, Environment and Climate Change, Rajasthan government, Shri Shukramji Bishnoi and Acharya Shri Sachidanand at Lalasar Sathri. It's the place where our Guru Jamboji took Nirvan, who created Vishnoi community and taught us to preserve, protect this environment, earth, and humanity. Under this project, we carried out different surveys, community engagement, awareness program with schools, college students, and local people of the areas in several places of Rajasthan, Haryana, and Punjab, as you can see in these pictures. We have started multiple programs, some of which are Jeev Mitra team, Smriti One, legal cell protection team, Jal Sarakshan Abhiyan in Rajasthan, Haryana, and Punjab. Training and webinars have been organized in relation to these projects, which are international webinar on environment organized by Guru Jambeshwar Environment Conservation Research Chair, Jain and Vyas University, Jodhpur, Rajasthan. Wildlife protection and rescue training, how to do wildlife counting with Indian Wildlife Institute, Dehradun, survey with Haryana State Biodiversity Board, crime control against wildlife with Wildlife Crime Control Bureau, Haryana, training on rescue and first aid to injured wildlife, legal training to wildlife protection team, and sensitization program to provide context and importance of the wildlife and nature with legal professionals. Agroforestry and water harvesting sessions with the farmers, with the faith leaders and agriculture department and watershed department of Rajasthan. There also some meetings were held with the policymakers and concerned departments of the forestry and wildlife because of the protection and other issues which are arising in the protection and preventing the nature when the warriors are working in the field. So the list is a long, but but these are some silent feature of the work we have carried out. So you can see the impact of these things in these earlier slides also, how they are working. In the current slide, you can see the water harvesting. Last year we did, and in the rainy season, these fields are totally filled up with the waters, and these are totally protected area. Their wildlife is freely moving. So the impact of these things you can see in the media coverage also. So government has decided to protect 22 types of wildlife species because of the work of Bishnoi community. Migratory birds have started to come again. Forest department has prohibited felling of the nesting trees. They totally restricted and make rules against the cutting of these trees. And recently, Central Jal Shakti Minister Mr. Gajendra Singh Shekhawat has assured that government assistance in rainwater harvesting project at Lalasar Sathri, Bikaner, Rajasthan, which was happened on 1st of March at Mukam. So at the last, I would like to acknowledge people who are helping in achieving these goals. Param Pujya Swami Sachidanand Ji Acharya, Dr. Govardhan Ram Ji Acharya, who is also patron of Akhil Bharatiya Jeev Raksha Bishnoi Sabha. He also came together with the project with us, and he is assuring for lot many training and awareness programs with the faith earth counselors in their coming katha sessions, which are going to be happen in next month and next to next months. And joint director of agriculture department of Rajasthan, Pinaki Das Gupta as our project coordinator, Vinod Kadwashra, who is wildlife protection consultant and rescue treatment member, Bhagirath Ji Khawa, who is a senior engineer, watershed department, Jodhpur, Rajasthan, who is helping us uh, in water conservation and the old techniques which used earlier in Rajasthan, and we are restoring those techniques again with the farmers and the local people to conserve the water, to harvest the rainwater again. And the Akhil Bharatiya Jeev Raksha Bishnoi Sabha, it's a biggest sanstha of our Bishnoi community, who is working I think since 1977 towards onwards on Jeev Raksha only, specifically on Jeev Raksha. So they came together with us to work with us in ecological restoration and these training programs and awareness programs according to this. So, and at the last, I would love to thank all the Bishnoi community who are working tirelessly to protect environment and ecosystem for our next generation. In these pictures, these are the pictures which are the real field pictures. So these are the works of Vishnoi community, and especially Mr. Vinod Kadwasra's work, who protected these species and fight with the system and the local people to protect these species. So once again, thank you so much for giving us opportunity to show our work with you guys. And thank you, Tanya, and thank you, Subhi.
Thank you, Ms. Mamta, for bringing to this important platform the efforts of indigenous cultures of the country. I now invite Dr. Matthew Koshi, who is the Honorary Director of the Department of Ecological Concerns of the Church of South India, a Green Church campaigner since 1947, and an environmentalist, scientist, activist, and writer. Welcome, Dr. Koshi.
Namaste. Good afternoon, distinguished guests. I bring greetings from Church of South India. I would like to show my programs through the slides. We have a membership of 4.3 million people in 5 southern states. Through our 2,000 educational institutions, we teach the values of sustainability to the students. Next slide, please. The CSI Senate Department of Ecological Concerns, educating various sustainable development goals of United Nations through campaigns for climate justice ministry, green protocol, green school program, climate resilient school and communities. Green school program is a resource efficient building, one that uses little water, optimizes energy efficiency, minimizes waste generation, catches and recycles water, and provides healthier space for its occupants as compared to a conventional building. This is the affirmation of the Green School students. We want to make a difference. We want to clean up and protect the environment. We want to be a part of the change that is so desperately needed today. We know that The air we breathe is so polluted that it is hazardous for our health. Our rivers are dying because of garbage and sewage. Our forests are under threat. We know that much has to be done to safeguard the environment because without our involvement, the planet's survival is at stake. These are some photographs of the students and teachers involved in Green School program. The students are staging their environmental protection ideas. Our students are doing cultivation in Green School program. Students are from the age of 6 to 12 are cultivating. Next stage of Green School program is climate resilient schools. They are implementing the green protocol of the CSI. The green protocol of CSI being there are eco-friendly constructions, water conservation, energy conservation, avoiding throwaway plastics, planting of sapling, organic farming, waste management, eco-friendly constructions and programs. We propagate a plant called vetiver. It is a plant of native of Tamil Nadu. It recharges groundwater, stabilizes riverbanks and roads, reduce global warming, prevent soil erosion, reduce coliform bacteria in water, and purify contaminated water. We planted, with the help of the government of Kerala, we could plant 2 lakhs of vetiver on the banks of River Pamba with the help of Biodiversity Board of Kerala in January 2022. The Green School program, the students know what is Green School program, green audit, green protocol of the CSI, carbon neutrality, mitigation, adaptation, and the students are reminding the family members on the values of sustainability. Teachers and students jointly made organic vegetable garden in their campus. For noon meals, they used the vegetables they got from their cultivation. Students, with the support of the elders, visited the houses of the nearby areas for educating them how to manage waste, converting it into fertilizers. During the heavy floods due to climate change, the students collected relief materials and distributed in relief camps. They know about adaptation and mitigation. We are training our students as eco warriors against climate change. During the month of May-June, 500 trained students between the age of 12 and 16 will address 5,000 schools and churches and communities on the impacts of climate change and the Green Protocol. During the July and September, 1,000 students will visit 10,000 schools and communities. Next slide. In climate resilient schools, students have to transform their houses in the same way they do in schools. A community transformation through students. We are creating community resilient model schools and model communities. Next slide. We have started a course, certificate course in eco-theology. 150 clergy, 70 teachers are studying there. We are trying to retrieve the ecological wisdom in biblical traditions to respond to the ecological crisis through this certificate course. At the same time, tries to reinvestigate, rediscover, and renew the Christian traditions in the light of the ecological challenges. We go beyond what has commonly been seen as the biblical text, meaning to generate new possibilities of understanding of the biblical text. Thank you very much for patient listening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Koshi. Now, I'd quickly like to, in the interest of the time, I'd just like to invite Honorable Haji Syed Salman Chishti ji. He's been serving at the Holy Dargah Ajmer Sharif and has been heading the Chishti Foundation as the managing trustee and chairman for many years. Um, Salman bhai, over to you.
Adab, greeting of peace. Adab and greeting of peace to all elders here. We extend our greetings from Ajmer Dargah Sharif
Yes,
and
Adab.
also the elders who have been part of the United Nations Environment Program, Faith in Action. And I think today's event, which has been going on for last 10 days, from the Ajmer Dargah Sharif, we would like to convey our greetings as the Dargah of Khaja Gharib Nawaz. Khaja Moinuddin Hassan Chishti in Ajmer is a world famous religious pilgrim spot for all the communities, especially among the Hindus and the Muslims, the Christians, and whoever are residing in Ajmer, in India. A lot of people from all diverse faith visit the Ajmer Dargah Sharif. The shrine is located near Ajmer town, an area which has a scanty rainfall and limited groundwater resources. The rainfall in this region is very erratic. The average annual rainfall is around 50 centimeters and average humidity is about 57%. To overcome this, there are more than 35 lakh pilgrims visit Ajmer Dargah on yearly basis in the heart of Rajasthan. They use more than 17 crore liters of water, and only 2% of that is from the government. The rest come from the 100-year-old water body known as the Jhalra groundwater, which is a spring water resource from last 800 years. In 2007, the Jhalra had dried up completely. But today, with the efforts of all the local communities and institutions, along with foundation, it's lived again with the water almost 40 feet deep. Chishti Foundation is creating a 3-tier clean and green spiritual ecology initiative, which empowers us all in Ajmer to step forward and contribute as part of clean and green spiritual ecology program. The foundation will be supporting the community of Ajmer Sharif to live this sacred trust with our creator by sharing spiritual ecology workshops along with simple spiritual ecological practices for our cleaning and greening work together. In this way, each of us will be guided to bring a quality of love and reverence for the divine within nature as we clean, paint, and plant with attentiveness and with the awareness, living sacred, conscious whole. Our aim is lasting community impact and behavior change through delivering spiritual ecology workshops and the development of interfaith value-based clean and green ambassadors among our youth and elders. Srishti Foundation is providing a platform for everyone in Ajmer Sharif and around the nearby villages as well to unite hands and heart to serve to the divine creation ecologically, culturally, and spiritually. As human beings, we have not only a physical duty towards nature, but also a spiritual responsibility to look after God's creation. The clean and green, eco-friendly Ajmer city and the Dargah surrounding is primary importance of our spiritual responsibilities bestowed upon us from the elders. It is also imperative for health and development for all our community, livelihood, business, academics, elders, and children, future generations. We need to encourage everyone in our community to contribute a little bit in their own way in this clean and green initiative. And I think today's conference, that the platform that has been provided as the ambassadors and counselors for faith-based action plan, it's very important to revive and retrieve the call of sustainable development goals through the faith-based initiatives. At this time of grave ecological crisis, we need to include the soul of the earth in our spiritual practices, into our prayers, meditation, and devotions. We need to take time to be with her, to listen to her, and to cooperate with her to protect ecosystem and to support the regeneration. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he has spent his entire life in eco-friendly jihad, serving humankind, caring for creation, preserving earth, planting trees, and protecting the environment. Cleaning and greening heart starts in our hearts, then in our own homes. Only when our inner and outer houses is clean we can truly step forward and work towards the stewardship of our city, the environment around our cities, which is the most noble of duty. One of the important hadiths, the sayings of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, which was conveyed by Abu Malik al-Ashari, peace be upon him, reported that the messenger of Allah, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, said, cleanliness is half of the faith. Saf safai nafs iman, that cleanliness is the half of your faith. At the heart of any successful development initiative is collaboration from various individual groups and communities that are endowed difficulties with various gifts, platform, and skilled resources. We each can contribute to a clean and green Ajmer and environment and need to support, encourage, empower each other to step forward and honor our sacred and physical trust and responsibilities to care for the creation. We urge all stakeholders in the fields of education, community, business, charity, and government departments to embrace and support these initiatives. Our health and the future livelihood sustainability of Ajmer and around the neighborhood and the villages depends on like-minded initiatives to come together. As we all survive, ensure the survival and social progress of life in and around the sacred centers across the nation, and catapult ourselves into being the pioneer, constructive, and clean and green stewardship city in India. Let us pool our resources together to ensure that noble innovation comes to the fruition. As one of the important sayings of Khaja Moinuddin Chishti that I would close and conclude my remarks is, if we want to be close to the Creator, develop the three attributes of nature into our being. These are sun-like grace, river-like generosity, and earth-like hospitality. If we develop these three attributes of nature into our daily lifestyles and serving, which never make any difference and differentiation or divisiveness upon whom they are serving, because the warmth and grace of sun is open for everyone. A river, a running water from the river is open for everyone to use. And also the earth is hospitable, despite of we being over excess and using the earth, still the hospitality nature for earth is open for all. If we reflect these spiritual qualities into our daily life, we will be able to honor the sacred trust that has been bestowed upon us. We again thank all the elders at the UNEP, Mr. Atul Bagai Sahab, who's heading the UN India, Subhi Sahiba, Tanya Sablogji, Iyad Sahab, and all the elders who have been continuously committed towards providing this platform of amplifying and also knowing each other in the field of spiritual framework, serving the society, the nature, and our planet Earth. Salam and greeting of peace from Ajmer Dargah Sharif to all. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Salmanji. I would now like to invite Honorable Dr. Merchant. Dr. A.K. Merchant is the General Secretary of the Temple of Understanding India Foundation, and he holds administrative positions on the Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of Delhi and the National Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of India. You're welcome.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you very much. I hope I'm audible. Yes, it's been so wonderful listening to all the distinguished friends. But before anything else, let me express my gratitude to Atul Bagai ji, the head of the UNEP in India, Dr. Ayad Abu Mawgli, Mrs. Subhi Dopar, Ms. Azmaira Ali Bhai, and to you, Madam Tanya Sablok, the United Religious Initiative. I have been part of this program since last year, and it's been wonderful, the journey. And today, every person who has spoken has really spoken from the heart and inspired us. And we can see that in these days of climate emergency and global warming and a host of other problems that have put the planet on a brink, whatever little one can do is not enough. Next slide. I will, since the time is limited, I don't want to mention about the other organizations, but particularly Temple of Understanding India as well as New York is largely focused on youth training, whereby we have understood how the SDGs and the training that the youth need to be provided will help them to better respond to the various challenges they face in their own lives or in their families or in the communities that they live and the world at large. With respect to the Baha'i community, most of the people would know it that from the international to the grassroots, we work in about 5,000 different clusters, and environment or ecological lifestyle is one aspect of it. Most of our programs are educational, and sorry, the slides which I had sent had a little bit less of this information because I was asked to reduce. But we believe that true religion, and it has been amply demonstrated from what we have heard from each one of the distinguished representatives of religious or spiritual communities, that true religion possesses the power to transform hearts, overcome distrust, and build a world that is eco-friendly, that can live in harmony. And this is what the Baha'is also uphold, because nature in its essence, the founder of the Baha'i faith, Baha'u'llah, says, is the embodiment of God's name, the maker, the creator. Its manifestations are diversified by varying causes, and in this diversity, there are signs for men of discernment. It's very unfortunate that as human civilization advanced, as we became more and more technologically dependent, we have created a situation where we have made our lifestyles unsustainable. And therefore, every time we talk about sustainable future, sustainable lifestyle, sustainable living, etc., etc. But as we have noted, it is still possible. Though the planet might have crossed the tipping point in many respects with respect to our life, our survival, yet sanity can still prevail. Humanity can once again rebuild, and through the labor of love, the wonderful presentations that were made, all of them had one golden thread that connected them: the labor of love, the sacrifice, the services that the various communities are rendering. All of them showed how the evolving consciousness of humanity is moving inexorably to the development of a new planetary culture. And in an ecological sense, humanity has appeared in many respects, though to be delinquent, yet within a larger vision of humanity's spiritual and social evolution, the present environmental crisis and the race's reaction to it may be seen as portending a momentous transformation. I'm an optimist, and if we use our spiritual and religious gifts in tandem with the scientific advances, this planet can once again become a mirror image of paradise. All these sciences, whether it's in physics, ecology, psychology, and other fields of sciences, this fact is underscored again and again. I have only two pictures to show. One is the Baha'i Lotus Temple. That is the slide that's coming up next. Please kindly change the slide to that one. It also gives an example of how, as we have seen in other communities, a model of an eco-friendly lifestyle. And we all have to walk this path together. So the three agencies that have come together, the United Nations Environment Program, the Faith for Earth, and the United Religious Initiative, have demonstrated this power. This particular slide is a slide of the Baha'i Shrine in Israel, which is again one of the most eco-friendly spiritual places on earth, where before the COVID times, of course, we had thousands of people visiting it, and everything that is used, it actually enhances and promotes a positive environment apart from the spiritual energies that one feels. So we move on to the next slide. Essentially, as I mentioned, ours is largely an educational program, and it begins with a child of 3-year-old and goes right up to the senior citizens. It encompasses all dimensions of life, the most important being the prayer and devotion. So we have families after families, hundreds of thousands of them, who organize groups of family devotionals. And when they take ownership, not only are they able to understand and appreciate each other's contribution, but they also create that spiritual atmosphere. The second is the children's classes. This starts with a child from 3-year-old, and we have uniquely tailored curricular materials, which appeals to the child and all the pedagogical principles that are important in the way human beings learn. A very important paradigm or a principle of the Baha'i faith is that all of us are humble learners and all of us journey on the path together. The next is the spiritual empowerment of junior youth. These are, teenagers from 11 to 15 years old. And they, when they look at the world around them, try to understand the reality. They are very puzzled, confused, and oftentimes very agitated and rebellious. We have a 3-year program for them. And in that, environment and ecology figures very prominently, living in harmony with nature. The fourth part is the study circles, because Baha'is strongly believe that it is the combination of science along with religion that helps civilization to march forward. And it is these two together that promote harmony and peace on planet. If true religion and true science combine with each other, they will give us how civilization can march. They will give us the knowledge, the practical elements, and a new dimension to address. Because one problem that oftentimes I do notice with religions is that they aren't able to climb upward as civilization marches forward. While science, on the other hand, is always open-ended. So this is something that the Baha'is also encourage people to appreciate and understand. Because as a learning community, we have to have a sense of vision and mission. We have to have an element of openness, and we have to have a participatory approach. So to me, the Faith for Earth Counselors, what it has done, it has brought together, it has pooled together the wonderful services that are being offered by so many different spiritual and religious communities on one platform. And this becomes the pathway to sustainable lifestyles, which will empower the multitudes, which will help collaboration and provide for us a continual process of questioning, learning, and action in all the regions of the globe. Because the magnitude of challenge is that we don't confine ourselves to having an oasis of vision. We have to have a global planetary vision. And it will have to be shared by experiences of women, men, youth, and children, the rich, the poor, the governors, and the governed. And each one has to be enabled. Each one's capacity has to be developed to play the rightful role in the construction of a new society. As human capacity for justice, reciprocity, and happiness are brought center stage, my humble plea to all those who are participating in this webinar is that more and more people would commit themselves to make a distinctive and effective global change. And to this, persons like, we have heard names of so many distinguished friends, religious as well as secular. I would like to add that of St. Richard St. Barb Baker, man of the trees, who in his own times, going back almost 70 years ago, had initiated the importance of soil erosion, preventing soil erosion, the importance of trees, ensuring that the forests are preserved, ensuring that water is conserved, ensuring that dams, huge dams are not built, but the natural flow is maintained. And his organization still lives on in the form of the World Forestry Charter, which the Baha'i international community has been sustaining it since 1945. And he, in 1924, had taught us about the importance of planting the trees, and he established this International Tree Foundation, which today exists in over 100 countries. As a result, over 26 billion trees have been planted and continue to be planted around the world. In 1972, with the first Environment Summit, it was mentioned earlier also by Dr. Ayad, when the environmental conference was held, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi met Richard St. Baker, and after all that she heard from him, she was so impressed that she invited him to India and tasked our own man of trees, the late Mr. Sundarlal Bahuguna of the Chipko movement, to take him around the country and introduce him to the wonderful flora and fauna of India, and also to its cultural and religious diversity epitomized in the concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. As persons who are religious and spiritual, we believe that human family is one. We believe that no one can survive in isolation. We have learned also many lessons during this time of the COVID pandemic of interdependence and oneness. And yet, today, the world is on a brink. The war in Europe, the way the countries are responding, it is not something that has happened on the spur of the moment. It has been actually brewing in the depths of human civilization of today, which, because of its materialism, high-tech lifestyle, has made our own survival so bleak. So my humble appeal again is that humanity has a glorious future, and the initiatives that have been taken as they begin to impact larger and larger sections of our planet will once again show that how the power of faith, the power of religion can help the UN system and the government agencies to bring far-reaching changes. The earth is but one country, Baha'u'llah says, and humankind its citizens. So to me, the anthropogenic changes that are happening, one of its form is climate change, is not something inevitable. Humanity chooses its relationship with the natural world. And here, it's up to us. What choices are we to make in the months and years ahead? The recent COP26, although there were good initiatives and decisions made, it actually has plunged humanity into an uncharted voyage. We don't know carbon neutrality by 2070 or by 2030. And a lot depends upon the developed countries and the resources and the technology transfers. But as Baha'is, we trust that the efforts of those at COP26 will contribute to building a firm foundation on which the well-being and prosperity of humanity can be ever more effectively pursued for this and future generations. So, given the limitations of time and what all we have heard, there is much food for thought. There is much that we need to deeply introspect. And I believe that it is possible for every man, woman, youth, and child to make that right choice and transform this planet from what it is today and fulfill all of those prophecies and expectations made by the sages and seers of the past, that this pale and blue dot in the vast Milky Way can be also a mirror image of God's kingdom. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Merchant. And then last but not the least, may I please invite Bhavya. He's the founder of the Religion World and Basic. He's been working on climate change and environmental grassroots change makers, and is a founder member of the International Association of Religion Journalists, and the India representative of the same. Over to you for your last closing remarks, and thank you so much for all your support through the entire year and to this program.
Yeah, thanks, Shubhi. And first of all, congratulations to Yad, Atul, and Shubhi for this UNEA resolution of the end pollution, plastic pollution, and make it a legal binding till 2024. That is a very, very big step. Yesterday I was seeing the video, and there was so much enthusiasm in the hall. I take very less time. I don't have any presentation. I go only by the key learnings of this program, because now we have completed 8 months of this program. And we have engaged around 70 organizations from 6 faiths. We have selected around 20 organizations whom we give the certification of Faith for Earth counselors. And we have seen a very remarkable results, because today the 10 organizations who represent here have shown how much they have participated in this program very enthusiastically, and we have seen the changes. Now everyone understands climate change, or maybe environment, or maybe the problems with the environment can only change by the behavioral changes in the organizations. And FBO has a very prime responsibility to change the behavior of their followers, how they adapt the things which their gurus are talking or which their institutions are talking. Because we understand the diversity of the FBOs, they are very different from their nature, they are very different from religions, they are very different in teachings, and sometimes they have to take this message to their followers in a very summarized way, so the followers can understand what exactly have to do. Because there are a lot of sermons, there are a lot of theses there, which is already day to day their followers have to, you can say, sync with. So I have seen the key learning. The first key learning is the participation part and the behavioral changes part, where at least these 20 organizations, and apart from these 20 organizations, the other 50 organizations, I am blessed that I am continuously in touch with all the organizations which we have approached. And apart from that, there are a lot of organizations all over the country from different faiths and from the same faith, which are connected to me, and I'm fortunate to get to know what exactly they are doing and how they are impacting a mass which they have related to. The second part, because participation and behavioral changes is a very important part for them, the second key learning is Guru's mandate and the engagement part. Because gurus, when gurus have to do a lot of things with their followers, very frankly, they have to engage them on a spiritual level, they have to engage them on a psychosomatic level, they have to engage them on different levels, physical level. There are a lot of activities going on in an ashram or in a temple or in an organization like Brahma Kumaris or ISKCON or Isha Foundation or Art of Living or Dipankar Dhyan Foundation, Eco Village, Unity College, Vishnoi. These are the names which are involved with Faith for Earth. Even Sant Sichewal is doing great work. Heartfulness is doing very great work. So the problem is this: when Guru's mandate is very much clear for this organization. So a Guru, if Guru is dedicated to the environment and saying we have to take this cause to change this world. Like I was impressed with Isha Foundation that they are so futuristic that they are taking the soil part of the problem. Like Yuri was saying about that. I'm very much impressed with the Church of South, who has a program like now Srimad Rajandra is going to organize field. Church of South is doing in South, now Srimad Rajandra is doing in Maharashtra region and other. There are a lot of works which we can replicate, or which we can take the inspiration from. Actually, ISKCON is doing a lot of things, like Gaurang Das is telling about they are doing on all SDGs. But surely a father has 10 sons. I think an institution has loved all his 10 sons, but take leadership on some part of that, so they can show the impact in a very tangible way. The real need is tangible results. The third part which I am seeing, FBOs are coming from forward as the climate change is now impacting very directly our lives, our rivers, our food, our you can say behaviors. So now I'm constantly, from last 2 years after the corona and between the corona, I have seen a lot of changes in their behaviors, and they are coming forward to do work. I have seen many preachers who are very spiritual and religious preachers. They really want to do some work on this part, on the environment part, on the animal part, on the river part, because India, you consider this animal is also sacred and river is also sacred. So they are willing to, they are kathavachaks, like religious preachers, very typical religious preachers from small religious cities, but they really want to work on that. I have a very, very deep discussions with them because we have worked a lot during corona. Apart from that, the next part is like collaboration and youth engagement, because every spiritual organization in this country want youth engagement in their programs, in their projects, in their courses. So the collaboration part is very much important now. UNEP, URI, Srishti, Religion World, everyone has cooperated with them. But youth alignment only happened when the organization is focusing on that. Like Swami Dipankar is an example. He has engaged a lot of youth on his social media. He's a very good social media engagement. He has engaged more than, if I'm not wrong, more than 1 million people on social media in last 8 months for these programs. There are other organizations like I know Wash Alliance for Paramath Niketa, they are doing well. Isha is always doing well because they have lot of following, and Sadhguru always talks about environment and all the issues. Art of Living is very much good, where their Guru Shri Ravi Shankar is also doing a good work into that. So every organization, even from Virayat and Gayatri Parivar, their young head is very much doing on environment. The next part is this adding value, because after this program, the environment, the organizations have understand, because every organization has a very niche type of identity. Their followers may follow meditation. Their followers may do yoga, but in yoga, there are a lot type of yoga. In meditation, there are a lot of meditation, and everyone has techniques different. And the follower choose the guru according to that, and then guru adding the value to saving this planet or any other value he wants to inculcate in their followers. That is a very important thing which happened in last 8 months, where organizations have added value. I really appreciate Srimad Rajandra organization, Temple of Understanding, which has a very, very deep knowledge of these subjects. Bishnoi community is doing very great. Unity College of Lucknow is doing very great. Parmarth Niketan, Sant Sichewal, Aham Brahmasmi is a very small organization, but they are doing very well actually. Srimad Rajand, Isha, ISKCON, everyone. So surely going forward, there is very little things to do. One thing is alignment is very much important for that, because we focusly work on that topic. We understand you can engage a guru in a program, but ultimately the action happens when you always tell them what to do. It's like that. Focus teams are needed for here, because if you really want to see changes, there are focus teams. There must be a social impact survey of these things which we have done in last 8 months, because now 5th June, when we sit again on 5th June, we will surely want to understand the tangible results of whatever we have done. So I want to conclude this wall. There are a lot of learnings. We can do a whole 2-hour session on that, what exactly how every organization is doing their best to achieve something, because now they understand that apart from this religious beliefs and the spiritual practices, there are social services are very, very important for them to differentiate what exactly they are doing. And now followers is also very much aware and awake and want to involve themselves for something good for this planet. So thanks everyone, because yesterday was a great success in UNEA, and today I understand because FBOs are doing a lot of work. Yesterday I was in Brahma Kumaris. I met Sister Jayanti there. I was so inspired. She's engaged with UN from 1916. So these type of figures we have invited 10 people. There are 10 more waiting. There are 50 more in the available to do something with you. So surely, I think in coming months, in coming years, we will do something great, more tangible towards the goal which we have established. Thanks a lot, Shubhi. Thanks a lot, Tanya. Thanks a lot, Pinakida. Thanks a lot, and my revered pranam to every guru here. Revered pranam to the knowledge which we have shared today. Thanks a lot. I hope in future we will do great things with these organizations.
Thank you so much, Bhavyaji. So now we are at the end of the program, and I'd like to sincerely extend my heartfelt gratitude to each and every, teacher, guru, mentor that have shared, their knowledge with us today. Most of all, I'd also like to thank Dr. Iyad and Atul sir for being here all throughout and sharing their very valuable time with us. And all the participants who've been very supportive and patient, even though we've run out a little over time. Thank you so much, the extended team members, for putting this all together. Hannah, Asmira, Tanya, for bringing it all together. Many thanks, and we'll certainly share the recording of the video and also other collaterals that can be used on your social media platform in case you'd like to disseminate the amazing messages that we've gathered today. With that note, thank you so much once again, and we'll definitely stay connected. Thank you all.
Thank you for the wonderful session today.